right, how many of you have ever or recently watched the national championship for Division I college football? Anybody see that? Who won that game?
Wolverines.
Michigan Wolverines. And the head coach for them is?
Harbaugh.
Was, is, whatever. At that time was Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And his brother's name is?
John.
The father's name is?
John,
I think too. And what did Jim Harbaugh say when he got back to the locker room to that team?
How good do we have it?
Who's got it better than us? So on there, I want you to repeat that with me. Who's got it better than us? 1, 2, 3. Who's got it better than us? And what's the answer to that?
Nobody.
Say it. And to be honest with you, we're talking about falling in love with real estate. Think about it. I mean, who's got it better than us? Maybe today, Ariel was telling me that today may not be her favorite day in real estate that she's ever been in. We have ups and downs. But really, who has it better than us?
Nobody.
Who has it better than us?
Nobody.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. So throughout the presentation, if we say that again, we'd like to have an audience response. So, Ben, what you want to ask some questions to the
Yeah,
group?
let's kind of start. I'm gonna pull a whiteboard here. I just want to hear kind of some answers from the crowd. What do you guys love about real estate? One word, give us a sentence, tell us what you like. We'll make a little list here.
Home boss.
Home boss.
Flexibility. Money.
All right, hold on. Got it. I'm up to speed.
You can travel and sell at the same time. True. So travel's with you.
Nobody's like no.
Let's get a few more.
Not corporate America.
I love that one.
No more toasters.
More testers for Suzanne.
All right, let's get 3 more.
It's exciting.
Is this?
Ask me again in a year.
You're always learning.
All right, one more.
How about the fact, even though inventory levels are down, we have access to be able to sell all of the inventory. Like if you work as a car salesperson at the GM place, well, you can't sell a Ford. You're just sort of limited by that. Where in our thing, you can sell everything.
Love it. All right. I'm sure we are going to hit on a bunch of these as we go. Deane and I made a list of 8 things that we love about real estate, and all of them are very much related. But we're going to go through our list. We're going to go one by one. I'm sure as we go, we'll hit on these. But please, as always, interject, raise your hand, ask questions, all that stuff. But Deane's going to kick off the first one because he loves money.
So this, how many of you are like me and think that maybe more money in most cases is better than less money? Anybody else in here? Like that? Okay. You got to be careful when you talk about money because you're like, oh, all he cares about is money. Well, money can be a very good thing. I guess it can be a bad thing. What can money do for you?
Change your life.
Options.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options.
Buy me a truck.
Buy me a truck. Buy me a what's the song? Can buy me a
Yeti 110.
Yeti 110.
I established some bullets.
That's it. That's it. It can give you a lot more options, and you choose what you want to do with those options, right? You get to pick whether you want a Yeti 110 or whatever you want, right? So you look around and you think about people that are here and what they had before and the options that were in front of them at that time and what they have now. And it is amazing, right? So if you're in the group where you have experienced that, then good for you. And good for, hopefully you've been able to do some good things for other people, your family, other people around you. And if you're not in that group yet, then think about what it's going to be like when you're there. I mean, I know when I first started in real estate, many of you heard this story before. My buddy Mike was in the real estate business, and I was working at Hampton City College. I had a very nice title. I was assistant dean. Had a ring to it, didn't it? And I had that nice title, but on payday, very disappointing. I think my check was like $1,200 a month for the whole month. And like Mike is getting a new car, and he's doing things, going on vacations and whatever else. That's pretty cool. You know? And so I told my wife, I said, when I decided to come, when Mike talked me into doing this, I told my wife, I said, one day, I'm gonna make $100,000 in 1 year. And when I do that, I'm going out and I'm buying a brand new F-150 4x4 rev watch. She said, that ever happens, you go do it. And that was like 13 months later, I did it. I mean, to me, that was the coolest thing in the world. Remember that truck? It had pipes and sort of jacked up. Suzanne knows very well, because Suzanne lived next door to me when I bought it.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times I would get up early to go hunting, and so would they. But that's cool. I mean, to think like, Tommy, what is the average young life director in the United States bring home after a lot of work?
I think it'd be like, maybe at this point, like 40.
40 G's at this point. And when somebody who might have been a young life director at some point in their
I think mine was like 1,800 a month.
Okay.
When I was 700.
Yeah, the under 2000 club. We've been there. Anybody else been in that club? Yeah. How many options you got in that club? Now, did Tommy impact a lot of lives, young people's lives, and do a lot of great things? And thank God he did it. At some point, though, you know, like me, I'm sure the same thing with Tommy, he made a decision, had to, you know, wanted to do a little bit more for the family, wanted to do a little bit more for himself and for his family. And that's you talk about falling in love with something. That is, again, it doesn't have to be all selfish. You can do a lot of good things for other people, but being able to have the resources to do what you want to do and have those options, if you can't fall in love with that, you know, I don't know. Are you excited about that? I mean, y'all don't really look as excited as I am. I mean, to think about and to watch what you guys have done it's so cool to be looking from here out and watch that happen. And you know, you wonder who in here is going to be the next person. Who's going to be the next Tommy Sadiga? Who's going to be the next person that really just changes it? And could it be you? It's up to you. And that's cool.
My brother actually told me this a long time ago, kind of talking about this whole idea of his money dad, or money's the root of all evil. He said, well, the thing people forget is with a lot of money, you can do a lot of good. So I'm sure a lot of you guys, like, who here has goals to give back to the community? Both time, effort, money, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of figure out what your why is behind it, and a lot of times money can do a lot of good. The part that I wanted to hit on was one of the things that I love about real estate is we'll use the word schedule. But deeper than that, it's more about choice. Who here worked a job before being a realtor, like in corporate or somebody where somebody dictated your schedule? You had to take off work, you had to take PTOs, you had vacation days, things like that. But I don't know, I'm sure you have plenty of people on your team who have taken off to go to their kids' awards ceremony, or they go to the afternoon baseball game, or those types of things. And that's just one of the many benefits of being in the real estate business, that you do have the choice to be able to do that. Of course, there's consequences for every choice that you make, and so having some foundations built in your schedule is a very good thing. When I think of real estate, I don't think about, man, I love every morning wake up just to be a realtor and go sell houses. I think about the fact that it's so great that I get to make my own decisions, and I'm in charge of my own schedule, nobody else is. The work that I put in before work actually begins and work actually ends is almost a direct correlation to the rewards that I see from it. Would you guys agree with that? There's this awesome quote, it was from a Princeton basketball player a long time ago. He said that if I'm already better than you and I work at it more than you do, how could you ever expect to beat me? Like, especially when you're 5 years or less? Real estate? Yes? Okay, this still applies if you're over 5 years, but a lot of times working harder is the answer. So just because I say that I love the schedule, it doesn't mean that I just love the flexibility of it. It's earned flexibility, right? But a lot of times it's really super cool because you can work 7 days a week, or you have the ability to choose to work 16-hour days if you'd like to, because you know that the benefits are going to come your way from it. Of course, we have to stay disciplined with that, and ultimately we have the choice again to put personal matters first. You guys have heard when you're creating maybe your weekly block calendar or your monthly plan or whatever, what's the first thing that should go on your calendar?
Family.
Family stuff. personal stuff. You don't get to make that choice when you work for somebody else. Being in real estate, it's your show. You're your own independent contractor. And for me, that's one of the things that I love about it.
Yeah, it's cool. Think about, I mean, how many of y'all in here have coached some kind of youth team, whether it be your kids or somebody else? Hold your hands up. Look at the number here. I mean, that's pretty sweet. You know, and all the other opportunities that you have to do it, it's pretty sweet. Chicks need guys that coach football, right? Anyway, you have opportunities. Again, we talked about opportunities that money gives you. Just the general, you know, the whole idea of the real estate business gives you opportunities to work your schedule to not only enable you to make a lot of money and help a lot of people and buy and sell real estate, but to do things that you really want to do too.
And I think this kind of goes along with what Tommy said about traveling and selling. Now, like if you're your first day on the job, we don't recommend you go take a vacation and, you know, try to sell a few houses from the plane. But real estate is a business where when you put in the work here, you are able to leave and have a business that is still making money when you're gone. You don't have to take time off that's going to affect your paycheck, which is a pretty awesome thing if you're putting the work in beforehand.
Yeah, it's like how many of you know the difference between a real vacation and a realtor vacation? I mean, maybe this is part that we don't always fall in love with, but you know, there's sort of a hybridization of what vacation can be. But the difference is maybe you can make up with the fact that you have to take a little time away from your vacation each time you do it. And maybe you can take more vacation, make it up in bulk.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, do you feel that Mike is on vacation right now?
I'm sure Mike feels like he's on vacation right now. But we've all been there. So the other thing to vacation is, you know, whether, I'm just going to say at hometown, how many great people do you get to work with? You know, we have an incredible amount of great people that, to me, just make me smile all the time. You know, to be able to work with such a diverse group that is pretty much fun-loving and, you know, positive, just makes all the difference in the world. And if, you know, one of the keys to success is hanging around with positive people. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And certainly one of the keys to failure is hanging around with negative people. And we all have our good days and bad days, don't we? You know, no one here is perfect. Don't tell my wife that I said that, but I mean, even me. So to look around and always be able to find somebody to do something fun with, always be able to find somebody that's willing to help you, always find somebody that's willing to sort of lift you up. I mean, that is a great opportunity, and you certainly don't find that elsewhere. You know, and then you can expand that to, you get to choose who your clients are. You know, if you work for IBM, I mean, I'm sure they're like, well, here, this is your account. Well, you can't be like, well, yeah, that guy's a jerk. I don't want to work with him. Let me go work with the cool people. You're stuck with whoever it is. Like, Ken, when you were selling cheese, I mean, at the cheese place, I mean, you just had to go, whoever's buying the cheese, that was your buddy, right? Here, you pick your own database, you can do whatever you want. What's that?
Where do you sell cheese?
Craft. Something bad about cheese? Who here likes cheese? Everybody but Suzanne. Okay. I mean, this is a rivalry between cheese people and toaster people. Because I can see that. But again, what we're doing, we get to pick whoever it is. If Becky wants to go out and she wants to have a party for her best clients and friends, I mean, that's fun, right? That's enjoyable. I mean, you just don't realize how good that is compared to, you know, my dad was an engineer and had to sit in the basement at Universal Tobacco Company and deal with whatever slaps they hired and just go with it. You know, I mean, he didn't have any choice. You know, we have choice at every turn. Some people, you know, we didn't write the word freedom on here. Freedom is not like flexibility, but freedom can be a double-edged sword, Kenny. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. You've got the ability, the freedom to just be with so many great people and to choose who you want to hang around with and work with, and ultimately just be a lot more happy because of it.
Well, I know in Larry, the class that you did at the beginning of the year about, well, I can't remember the title class, networking groups.
Breaking bread.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about building like your network group, right? Like, of course, you want to have one industry per seat or whatever, but in the end, like, we're looking for the people first. You're looking for the relationships first. Like I'd much rather, on our team, I'd much rather have a brand new agent with a great attitude than an experienced agent that's got a doom and gloom attitude, because we have a better chance to grow together. And that's one of the beautiful parts about the real estate business, is that when you find the positive relationships, your business growth will likely experience some great things. When you guys like kind of start your database from scratch, you come up with a list of relationships. Most people like to write down their family's names, right? It's kind of people that be pretty good referral sources for the most part. For me, my experience is a little bit different because I have 4 dads, and their names are Mike, Todd, Deane, and Rodney, and they all have to be real estate agents. And so did every single one of their relationships. So for me, it was a little bit different. I kind of had to go through, some old football rosters and things like that. But what I've learned, that one of my favorite parts, things that I love about real estate, is this idea of mentorship. I've learned something different from each Mike, Todd, Deane, and Rodney, and some things collectively too. But I can point to each person that's been in my life, whether that's my actual dad, right, or other leaders that I've had in my life, and I can tell you that one thing that they've taught me that's led to my success in whatever category we're talking about. Big Deane always talks about, I think it was it Sam Wilson, take one step up the ladder, you reach back down and pull the next guy up. Like, I always remember that. I always remember Rodney talking about, everybody has their barber, everybody has their doctor, everybody has their this, why shouldn't everybody have their realtor? I always remember that. We should always be a resource for people, right? Todd always talks about controlling the things that you can control. Mike says if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Heather Scher, my very first sales manager, she said, Ben, if you don't know exactly who is buying and selling real estate, learn and figure out how to be the source of the source. And so when I started figuring that out, real estate clients began to follow. My high school football coach to this day is still a mentor for me. It helps me build and grow my teammates, helps me build and grow my clients. There's such a cool aspect of real estate that is looking not just at real estate mentors, but mentors in your life in all different sorts of arenas that can help you build and grow your team and your business. So I would encourage you that if you're struggling right now with your love or affection for being a realtor or in the real estate business, look back at some of your mentors and reach out to them and ask for their advice. Because again, guys, you run your own business. It's a super cool thing to be in charge of yourself. It's really freaking hard at times, right? There's no ceiling, but there's certainly no floor, right? Reach back out to your mentors. And don't be humble enough to ask for someone to mentor you. Like, that's an okay thing, right? I read this definition one time, how the difference between a mentor, trainer, and a coach. And the definition of a mentor was someone whose hindsight can be your foresight. So if there's someone in your life who you think their hindsight can be your foresight, whether that's in the real estate business or just being a leader or being in sales, I would highly encourage you to reach out to them. And I think you will enjoy the conversation and reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, along sort of those lines, and back to what you said about the schedule, I wrote down something about efficiency and morning routine. Anytime you're new at something, a lot of times you put more time and more effort in it to get the same result that somebody who maybe has been around a little bit longer, because you just don't know exactly what you're doing. One of the benefits of being in this business, especially being here in hometown, is there are folks that will help you, and you have an opportunity to learn and maybe flatten the learning curve. Everybody familiar with that? Flatten the learning curve so you can get to that level of efficiency faster. And here's the cool thing. If you can be efficient, there are always some variables that are going to impact your day, but if you were very efficient with your time, like let's say you had a great morning routine, and you got up and you did your thing, you exercised, you returned emails, you did your prospecting, you do all the lead follow-up, you do everything you need to do, is there going to be a lot of extra time in the day for you if you do it right? Who's been here a real long time? I remember this. Who knows Burb? David Burbridge, all right? Burb one time was like, there's just not enough time in the day and all this kind of stuff and whatever. So I'm like, well, what'd you do? And he basically just all over the board chasing, sort of like a pinball, like just bang, boom, bam, reacting to everything. I said, Burb, if you maybe kind of take charge of your day and get on some kind of a schedule and some kind of morning routine, let's just see what happens. And so we sat down, we did it. He called me at 11:30. He goes, what am I supposed to do the rest of the day? Well, it's a big difference, And again, back to what we're talking about, do whatever you want to do the rest of the day. You can double down on your prospecting. You could go play golf. You could have drinks with some of your buddies at trying to build your center of influence. Go volunteer helping at the school. You can do whatever you want to do. Yet you can get to the level of efficiency in this business where you don't have to be working 60, 80 hours a week. Is there a time where you're gonna have to work that many hours? Yes. But as we get more efficient, we can reap the same benefit and probably put in fewer hours. If you just started today, maybe ignore this, but realize that that's coming, and that's what you can fall in love with, is the fact that it's not always gonna be this hard. Here's a great analogy. So, how many of you, back to the thing, how many of you been in the business for less than, say, 3 years? A good number. All right, so let's say we had a boulder right here, and we're at level ground, or relatively level, and we're trying to push that boulder. How much effort would it take to get that thing moving? Yeah, we'd probably have to have everybody in here pushing on it. Then once we got that baby rolling, then how much effort does it take?
Less.
That's what we're talking about with this efficiency. So if you are where you are right now and you're saying, gee whiz, I'm busting my butt every minute of every day. As you get better, as you get more efficient, it's gonna get easier. Not always gonna be easy. It's gonna get easier, and you'll be able to move that thing and make more and more and more money and do the things you wanna do. And I think that's something that's really easy to fall in love with.
For sure. This wasn't on our list, but it just came to my mind. You know how and I guess I'm sorry, because I know mortgage lenders probably have to have this, but you know how, like you get a lot of emails from like the attorney or financial advisor that have like a big disclaimer on the bottom of their email? Like realtors, like maybe the realtor thinks they're super cool, puts that on the bottom of their email, but you really don't have to have that. Like it's such an ethically driven business. I'm obviously not saying you take advantage of that, but the fact that it is so ethically driven, it just gives you more freedom. And that's a super cool thing in real estate is like you have the ability to be exactly who you are within an ethical and professional realtor. One of the things that I wrote down that I absolutely love about real estate is this whole idea of personal growth and development and self-improvement, which I was very unfamiliar with as I got into real estate, and then, I watched the Phoenix Peak Producers, and that's all she wrote, and I'm a feeding her for life. But I've learned a lot about like kind of this area of self-improvement. That's kind of another phrase for personal growth and development. Have you guys ever noticed that when you feel good, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever, everybody else around you kind of tends to feel good too? Like, but if you feel like shit and you walk into a meeting, everybody else is kind of in a bad mood, right? This is the idea behind personal growth and development, is when you are working on you, right, everybody else around you starts to feel that energy. There's a really cool book by John Gordon. It's called The Energy Bus, and he says that this could be completely totally yes, but I like it. He says that the heart's electromagnetic field can be felt up to 5 to 10 feet away. Meaning someone can feel if you feel good. They can feel your energy. So personal growth and development includes a lot of different things, whether we're talking about morning routines or exercise routines. But for me, it's this whole idea of actually opening up that old school thing called a book and reading it. I heard one time that if you want to get better at blank, read books written by great blank. So if you want to become more disciplined, read books written by disciplined people. If you want to become more organized, read books written by organized people. If you want to become better at sales, read books written by people that are good in sales, right? And a lot of the stuff in the real estate business a lot of things that we are reading in regards to personal growth and development are directly applicable to the real estate business. I don't think there's a lot of industries where you can take things that you actually read and put them into action. I've told Becky Parker this before, but one of the things she said to me when I first started at Hometown, gosh, Becky, what was your first year at Hometown?
It was 13 years ago.
Yeah, so you had just came to Hometown like, right before I started. I started in 2012. And Big Deane recommended that I went and go basically meet with any agent you can. It's one of the great parts about Hometown is you'll learn from a lot of different people. And like I'm getting a lot of good plans, a lot of good ideas. And it's like, Becky, like how did you, like you're pretty good at Century 21, you're one of the top agents here. Like what do you do? She just kind of looked at me. She's like, I just read a bunch of books. Like, I didn't really think much of that until a few years later and actually started reading a bunch of books, and you realize how much those things apply. In college, Mike gave me, of course in college, I was being recruited very early, the 6-figure real estate agent, was that what it's called? Is it or 7-figure?
I think it was a 6-figure.
But he's got a 7-figure one now too, right? anyway, Mike's loaded me up with these books. They're pretty awesome. And then there is one, the Keller Williams guy, the Millionaire Real Estate, Leads, Listings, and Leverage. But this whole idea of self-improvement, reading, personal growth and development, I've learned to really love that about the real estate business, because you realize the agents, like, if you look at the top 10, the top 20, even the top 50, and the ones that are actually selling houses, they're deeply committed to improving themselves. This isn't a selfish thing. This is knowing that the better that I am, the better those around me will be too, because I can positively impact it.
And knowing this fact, that it's not always going to be your best day, right? There will be days where you're not feeling it quite the same, with the same enthusiasm that you may have the day before or the next day. So how do you then help yourself fall in love with the business? Well, one thing that helped me tremendously was going to like these seminars. You know, have any of y'all ever been to Brian Buffini or Mike Ferry or whatever? I mean, it's almost like a shot of adrenaline when you go. Now, sometimes it only lasts a few days, but I'll take it. You know, and that, not only do you learn a lot, maybe you don't. There was a guy, he actually used to work at Hometown Realty. The guy that first turned me on to going to Mike Ferry thing was a guy named Joel Does anybody know Joel? Really good dude. Rag USA, I think is it. Still his company? Interesting. Anyway, really good dude. And so he told me, he goes, you know, I don't ever do any of that stuff. You know, he goes, you'll probably do something. It'll probably do you a lot of good. But it did him good too, because he just went there and he just felt good. It was like re-energized, you know. And sometimes you need that. Yes? Yeah. So here's a couple stories from that. You know, so like I went to this Mike Ferry thing and we had like a session, and then we came back in and they turned the lights off. There's 2,000 people in the room and they start playing this like weird organ music. And all of a sudden they like the spotlight slowly comes up in the room, and on the stage there's a coffin. And then you can see on like the video board, they like rotate up with the screen, and you can see Mike Ferry's lying inside the coffin. So I'm not sure if he passed away at lunch or you know what happened. It's just like it's like a seminar and funeral service all in one. And you know, and then he got up, and you know, everybody's sort of whoa. And he's like, you know, you got a couple choices every day. What a lot of people do is get in, maybe not literally, but figuratively, they get in the coffin and they're waiting for the ultimate end. They're not doing much to change their lives, to change their circumstances, to do anything good for other people. They're basically doing what? Just hopping in and waiting for it to happen. And that's not the way you want to live your life. So you got to think about taking some strides, and maybe it is going to a seminar. Maybe it's something else that gets you going. Maybe it could be a short-term thing, like a passage that, whether it be a Bible passage or passage from your favorite book. Maybe it could be a poem. Maybe it could be a song. You know, maybe it could be a picture. You know, and that can sometimes be the thing that helps you realize that you are doing something that you love. Because when the termite report comes back in bad, and when you just have that client that just nags the crap out of you, it's easy to sort of jump off and maybe not realize just how great we have it. You know? So
Who's got it better than us?
who's got it better than us? Nobody. And yet sometimes we don't remember that. So I guess the point here is identify what can give you that boost when you need the boost. And even that could be external. You may need some kind of accountability partner to be like, hey man, you know, I'm like getting ready to jump off the bridge. I need some help here, you know, and hopefully they can help bring you back.
Well, you're gonna need that type of boost often in a business. Somebody said it's ever changing every day. Not every day is the same. You know, one of my favorite parts that I love about real estate is I love the fact that it is challenging, that it is competitive. You know, even at Hometown Realtor we have rankings like that. That's a real winning is a real thing. right? And that's a really cool thing about the real estate business. It's like, I heard my coach told me years ago, he said, "Ben, not everybody will admit that they're competitive, but no one likes losing." And that is one of the coolest things about the real estate business for me, is that it's always a competition. It's always a fight to see who can win, right? And of course, there's all different, again, it's your own business, there are all sorts of strategies and ways to attack this, which is fantastic. When it comes to being competitive, again, I do believe it all starts within yourself. It starts within, what's the quote you used the other week from Brandon about your core? Was a big man with a weak core is still easily moved, right? You have to be competitive with yourself first, and then you can go and be competitive with other people. Even on our team, we have 9 people. We compete in everything that we do. We have a call block. Who can make the most calls? Who generates the most leads? We do a little, now it's a cornhole competition. We do it every Monday morning. There are very few things in the professional world where it is truly a competition every day you wake up. And I think that's why a lot of us are actually involved in this business, because we like to compete. We like to win. And I would just encourage you that whatever the boost is that you need to find that competitive drive, you go seek it often, because it is, it's a race every single day, and that's what makes it super fun.
I think in conclusion, if you think about how good we have it now, but how much better it could be if we all bought into this. If everybody that we worked around fell in love with the business, the days when you are feeling great about real estate, do you think you're more fun to hang around, more pleasurable to hang around, versus the days when you're moping around and not too excited about it? So that's the challenge. And then maybe you look at these things, or maybe you identify what it is that you really love about the business, because we can all love different things about it. And then just remind yourself that if you just get away from it, sometimes it can just sort of suck. But if you remind yourself of the money that you can make, and you can remind yourself of the time that you're going to be able to spend with your family, and you can remind yourself of the great people that you get to work with and all the other things, then all of a sudden you can be like, you know what? Who's got it better than us?
One thing, we fit on a little bit, but I think it's just important to note, Deane and I, but we could probably talk for hours about this, as could you guys. But what we love about real estate is right there on that wall. It's Hometown Realty. I haven't been in another broker. Who here has worked at another brokerage before? Big C. Big C and Becky. 2 rock star real estate. I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but I don't think that anybody has it better than Hometown Realty. Whether you talk about just a class like this, a sandwich bar before, our sales meetings, our Christmas party, our fishing trip, all the different things that we do, but more importantly, you can go right down the hallway and go see somebody else, hang out with them, ask them a question. They'll give you that boost that you need. I know, I could talk for hours on this topic too, but the thing that I probably love the most about the real estate is just my team. They're my family. I see them every single week, every single day I see them. I talk to them like brothers and sisters. It's like the coolest part in the world about the real estate business. Like I've said all the time, we could pick all of our crap up and go sell desks and chairs, and we'd still be best friends. It's one of the coolest parts about the real estate business. You have the ability to choose who you're going to surround yourself with. I think a choice that everybody here has made is that we're at Hometown Realty.
Anybody have any questions? Everybody ready to go out, slay some dragons, be in love with the real estate business for Valentine's Day? This was supposed to be on Valentine's Day, but my schedule got sort of wrong answer. All right, y'all have a great day. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.